Never colored that much in my entire life. I didn't finish the bottom because Sierra and Rachel stole my colored pencils, and apparently I had to be a mature, responsible youth pastor. But I was proud of this. I'm gonna hang it on my fridge for my wife. I thought that was sweet. Since she too poor to buy her a Christmas present. I am. Okay, so a couple things for you tonight. Number one, if you still want to fill up one of those shoe boxes for Operation Christmas Child, they are underneath the skateboard rack behind the help desk. Grab one of those. Bring it back next week filled up. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're probably not going to do one, so don't even worry about it. Second thing, how many of you went to State Youth Convention with us over the weekend? Was that not fantastic? It was so much fun. It was really great. So thanks for going with us. Next year is going to be equally as fantastic, I have no doubt. So plan on going with us. Third thing, if the only time of the week that you spend time with other Christians is Wednesday night here at the Escape, I would really encourage you to get plugged in to a church on Sundays. You can either come to Liberty Street Church on Sundays. We meet right next door at the small group cafe on Sunday mornings. Doors open at 9:30-ish. We hang out over there till 10:30-ish, and then we walk across the street to Liberty Street Church, and they let out at 11:30-ish. If you're like, okay, that's not for me, then go to North on Sundays. You guys start at what time? 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock over at North. Get over there. They have a big youth program on Sunday mornings. Ours is kind of small and low key, so if you're like a shy introvert, maybe come here. If you're like crazy and outgoing, maybe go there. So you've got some options. We want to plug you in. We want you to grow spiritually and get to know more people than just people that you're going to get to know here on Wednesday nights. One of the really cool things about plugging in either here or at North is going to be that you're going to meet people maybe older and younger than you too. Like here, we're all kind of the same age, all kind of in the same phase of life. But one of the cool things about what we do here, when we go over to Liberty Street, we're in the same service as the older people. So a lot of our students get to know the older people, and then those relationships carry through the rest of their lives. And those relationships help students find jobs and pay for college and all kinds of stuff. So the body of Christ is bigger than just what you see here tonight. And church on Sunday is a really good way to get to know some of those other people. One last thing I want to talk about tonight is snow camp. How many of you are planning on going? That is phenomenal. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be fantastic. I'm mostly just excited that we're taking charter buses and I don't have to drive because I hate driving. So that is a highlight. North just stepped up our trip game by like 30,000 points. So thank you for that. We're going to show a video about snow camp. As soon as this video is over, the band's going to take the stage and we're going to sing. But let's pray before we watch this video. God, I want to ask you to do something really cool in this place tonight. I pray that as we hear from your word, as Alex comes up to do the talking, that the stuff that we hear makes sense, that it sinks in, that we leave here ready to live more like Jesus in the coming week than we did the week before. We pray this in your name. Amen. Amen.
reason. I look ahead to great design. Not holding back, running to your promise. I'm choosing you. Oh, 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 your light breaks through. Oh, 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 shine through the darkest night.
That looks pretty awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome. You guys can stand up and sing with us.
hold the button. Hold the button.
There
you
yeah,
go.
got it. Got it. Can you hear me?
No.
No? Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's on.
Just want to make sure. Yeah, it's on. It's on. I feel it. Just have to make sure. Okay. Back my papers. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm almost there. I got excited. I switched it around. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. Do I stand here? Is this where I need to be?
You can be at
Anywhere?
anywhere. That's a great
Okay, no. All right, right here. All right, so Galatians 6, 7 through 9 says, you will always have harvest of what you plant. Those who only live to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay, death from that sinful nature. For those of you who live to please the Spirit, with harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. That's in Galatians 7 through 9, 6, 7 through 9. Also, John 10:10, which reminds me of Ben 10:10 for some reason. I have no idea why. But my purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. Okay, we'll hit those verses here in a little bit. I just want to make sure you guys know where we're landing. But I realize we jump right into it, and some of you guys may not know me, so I want to give you guys some things of me so you know who I am, what type of person I am, so you guys have a feeling, a knowing of what type of person I am. There it is again. So a couple things I like. I like games. I like video games. I like movies. I like destroying the plot for the person next to me. My wife hates that, but for some reason I have learned like what they're gonna say, who did it, what the twist is gonna be before the end of the movie. And she's in the back. She's like, yeah, I don't like that at all very much. But yeah, I love doing that. Have you guys ever played that game? Two truths, one lie.
Yes.
I'm gonna do that with you guys right now. So here's a little back and forth. I'm gonna give you three things, and then you guys get to pick out which one is the lie. All right. So let me do let me think of three things real quick. I'll do the whole Shia LaBeouf Transformers. Okay, I picked three things. First thing, I got paid to play trash cans in front of 40,000 people. That's number one. Number two, you guys still have that class where you have to carry around a baby and you put a key in it when it cries and
No.
no, not anymore?
Not
Oh, okay. Well, I have that, but with the baby, I actually dropped it a couple times. And it wasn't for a class, it was for real life. It was a real baby. That's number two. That's number two. Hold on, let me get to number three. Since you guys are stuck. I forgot my number three now. Alright, so what did I say at the beginning? Trash cans, baby, and the third one is going to be. See, I'm trying to mess with you guys. You're like, oh, I know which one it is. Haha, tricked you. The third one is I had a small acting career where I actually had 3 lines for a commercial, and I played the sexy handyman person for a motion picture. Okay. So, is it... What did I say? Trash can, baby, or acting career? Which one do you think it is? You think the baby? I can't tell you because then I'll give you more. What did you say? Acting? It's number 3? What do you think? Trash can? Okay, so I did. My wife was like, wait a second. Are you?
No, I know which one, but you're trying to be sneaky.
Haha, I slipped it in there. See, you guys thought. So I did get paid to play trash cans for a McDonald's convention out in Vegas. This was probably like 15 years ago? Probably close to that. 15 years ago. It was like It was like for 3 weeks, every Wednesday there was a convention for McDonald's in different
Just let him
Just let me explain. So, it was a real baby. So I was a teenager when I had a baby, and I didn't know what I was doing. And like I had.
So you dropped the baby.
I was 16, 17, I don't know. They roll around and then you put them on your stomach and then they roll off and you're like, oh no! And then so you're like, I don't want to hurt him anymore. So actually the next time he rolled off the couch, or he didn't roll off me off the couch, I got on the floor and put him on me again, and I was like, oh, okay, I got him this time. And then he rolled, because I breathed in, so it became a hill. And so he didn't fall. The problem is he got momentum, and then hit his head on the coffee table, and then But actually, look at him now. He's looked really good. So I didn't drop him that many times. So yes. So that is my son. My wife is here. Aaron, say hello. My son's right next to him, and then my daughter right here. I did say him. Yes. That's the one I dropped when I was about your age. So that means the third one is a lie, but not entirely. I did have a small acting career. I was in a car commercial, and I was like, pre-owned, pre-used. I was a tongue twister. I did play the sexy handyman person, but not for a motion picture. For it was like one of those film festival things that it's on YouTube, but I'm not going to tell you the name, so you'll go look it up and then make fun of me and then copy and paste and all that stuff. And I don't want any of that to happen. Okay, moving on. So yes, I did have a small acting career. So the thing is, in life, that's who I am. I wish I had a manual to kind of figure out how to work babies and life and continue my acting career, and it didn't happen. I wish there was like some sort of manual, some sort of warning labels for things so I can like not hit those bumps in the road, right? So actually, that leads me right into that's a good transition. Thank you guys. Have you guys ever noticed that everything has a warning label? Oh, Ryan, are you running my slides? Okay, I'm towards the number one right now. Most of them are not really a big deal, but if I look at the screen, then those ones are important. Okay, so you do you. Okay, good. Do you remember the 10 Commandments? You better. All right. So do you guys notice how everything has a warning label? Yeah. Almost everything. It makes it seem like the most normal things are not safe. There are some warning labels in life that just make sense. Okay. For example, the warning on Tide Pods. They're used to wash your clothes. Okay. Now you would assume people would definitely understand that, but
They're delicious.
they're my dentist. I feel like Beyonce said that. If he said that, leaders tackle him. All right. The thing is there's a chemical in it to clean your clothes. You're probably not supposed to eat it, dessert. Okay, but that didn't happen obviously because it became a big viral thing and everyone decided to swallow it. Don't swallow it because it's harmful if swallowed. Okay, don't do that. All right. So one time I saw a sign at a horse ranch back in Vegas. Actually, the sign said, "Warning: horses may bite, kick, and fart." Okay? They tend to do that. Now, I think we can all agree that this concept should be common knowledge, but apparently someone learned the hard way that a gassy horse could have space issues. But then, on the other side of that spectrum, common sense spectrum, you have warnings that go kind of crazy a little bit. And so here are a few examples. I saw a sticker on a wheelbarrow that said, "Not intended for highway use." Don't put it on the highway. Yeah, so you can not see around me. Or this label that says on a baby stroller, I wish I'd have known this in my high school years, "Remove child before folding." Okay. You don't want to fold it with him in it.
But if you do fold it down, he comes out looking pretty good. So, or how about this warning? I once saw on Apple's website, do not eat iPod Shuffle when iPods were a big thing. So apparently people ate them as maybe they got smarter. I don't know. So anyways, so we have these warnings for just about everything in life, right? We don't just see warnings in everyday life. We see and hear them, sometimes even right here in church. In fact, anytime, every time someone steps up here to speak, it's some sort of warning. You've been warned. Because you specifically. No, just kidding. I don't know, right? Because you're just right in front of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, don't yell at me. All right, but let's be honest. Okay, it can feel like a lot. It can feel like we have a lot of warnings here, right? Don't do this. Sit down. Don't talk. Be quiet. You can laugh now. Okay, stop. That's it. All right. We can feel like we have a lot of warnings because if you laugh, I will take your shoes. Okay. Sometimes that happens, but in all those kinds of things and all of these choices basically boil down to one word, one concept, one band, one sound. One word, one concept, sin. Okay? And the word automatically gets this like bad, negative juju. Sin. Ugh, yuck. You know, it gets this bad connotation with it, right? So whether you've been coming to church for as long as you have, or as long as you remember, or if this is your first time here, welcome, thank you, we're glad you're here. I'm not the normal speaker. Next week will be better. We're glad you're here. Anyways, we are familiar with these general ideas of sin, right? We know that a sin is something bad, and therefore something we shouldn't do. But here's the interesting thing about our view, like all of us collectively, right? Our view of sin. All of us apply it to some sort of scale at some point, right? So I like to play a little game where you're allowed to be honest. Okay, so be honest with me. And in this game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a sin on the screen, and you guys will yell out a number that you would give that sin between 1 and 10. So if I put up lust or gluttony, you would say, oh, that's a 9, or somebody will say, oh, that's a 3, or a 7. It's whatever you think. So here's the first one. What would you give this? Just yell out the number. Murder.
Number 15.
Right there. So murder. I heard 5. I heard 10. 10. Okay. So it's pretty bad. Okay. What about white lies? 10. 5. 4. Okay. Well, okay. What about cheating on a test? 1. You said 1, 2? Okay. Security? Alright. 10, okay. What about complaining? 10. Okay, so yes, 10. 1.3. Wow. You just want to put the 1.3. What about disrespecting parents? Say it too. I'm watching you. I have control of your phone, so you better. All right. What if it was drinking? What would you give that? A 1. Okay. A 3. Drinking. Not healthy for your body. Okay, what if the sin was cursing? 1. 1, so we get lower. I can hear 10 from over here. Like everyone's like, yeah, 10. Okay. 5. Okay. You said 5. 7. Okay. Good. Okay. Listen. Before I do the next one. Okay. It's a regular word that we use every day, but I just want to make a point. Okay. What about sex before marriage? Okay. about stealing something really expensive? I got a lot of 10s on that one, so that one bumped up. Last one was in like the 3, 7, or 8. This one went to 10. What about sex after marriage? Now I know you're just yelling at 10 because you want to, because the Bible says once you're married, you're good to go. So relax, all right? All right. So yeah, you can go to the next one there. So here's my point. So I wanted to get what your honesty was. Thank you guys for your honesty, by the way. I want to get where you guys were on kind of what those are. They kind of fluctuated. They moved around. Some of you guys are just yelling 10 for the fun of it. I'm okay with that. I'll see you in class later. But here's the thing. Understand this. That yes, certain things are wrong, right? But when something falls lower on the sin scale, we tend to kind of downgrade its importance. So, which leaves us wondering, are some sins really such a bad thing? Are they? Rhetorical. So even us, the label Christians, those who accepted Christ, Christians, put sin on a scale to some extent. That's not a normal thing, that's not what you want to do, but to some extent we kind of do, right? So, which can leave us kind of feeling confused when some sins seem worse than others. But, hello, McFly. Yes, murder really is worse than cheating on your math test. Okay? Don't do that. Now, in week 1, I think Eric talked, someone talked, I forgot who talked. In week 1, we talked about Jesus wanting us to be free people, and that means we can have a relationship with God, despite what we've done. So no matter where you're at, you're allowed to have a relationship with God. That's where we're at. You can do that right here, right now. So, the question still stands. Is it really all that bad? If I sin, if you sin, if we sin. So to answer this question, let's go back to Galatians 6, which I read right at the very beginning. So in Galatians 6, this is a book, actually not really a book, it's actually a letter written by the Apostle Paul for a church he started in Galatia, okay, an ancient city where in the map where Turkey is kind of now. I'm not very good at geography, I gotta see, but kind of where Turkey is. So at that point in history, Christianity was pretty new, brand new, and they didn't have like the Bible that we have today, physical or on a phone, because that would be really weird. So everybody was trying to figure out just what following Jesus really should look like, which sounds like a variation of our question on sin. No matter how you ask the question, it boils down to this. Where is the line? Okay? What sins on the scale are important sins? Which one aren't? So Paul wrote this in response to their question. He said, you will always harvest what you plant. You guys ever heard that before? Kind of in a different connotation, different wording?
Yep.
What is it?
Minecraft. Yep.
Someone said it. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Okay? So you will always harvest what you plant. The Bible already said this a long time ago. It says, those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature. But those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. So let's not get tired. Let's us not get weary of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. Now, it's important to understand the world in which Paul wrote this letter. So, like today, when you want food, right? You go to the grocery store and then buy what you need. Or maybe not you guys, maybe your parents go out to the store and buy what you need. And then you have cookies and they'll give cookies and crackers and tricks for kids and all that stuff, right? But back in the day, in the ancient world, a lot of people were involved in some sort of farming. They had to. It was important to their survival. So most people were very familiar on how to grow crops. So let me teach you guys on what farming is from a non-farmer. Welcome to Farming 101. Farming is the idea of planting and reaping. A plant and a reaps. Right? If you plant corn, you'll eventually get corn. If you plant wheat, don't be surprised when you get wheat. Now, I mean, it's farming from a non-farmer, Farmer 101, it's easy. I mean, come on, it's not rocket surgery, okay? So don't get stuck on it. Follow me. All right, so when Paul compared choices and outcomes to planting and harvesting, his audience understood exactly what he was saying. Okay, Paul was saying that your choices now will determine what you eventually harvest. Your choices now will determine what you eventually harvest. Eventually, later on. You got to do it now so you can see it later. It's just as true for you and for your life as it is for planting crops. And you can't plant corn in the middle of winter. You got to plant it in spring so you can get it towards the summer. I think. I don't remember. But I saw corn when I was driving around Ohio. Anyway, so your decisions will someday bear fruit. Fruit is good. Fruit is yummy. When you bear fruit, I like to have that fruit because it tastes yummy. Apples. Now, it may not happen tomorrow. It may not even happen next year when you bear fruit. But every choice, every action is planting the seeds for the future. So Paul is basically saying this. If you will one day harvest what you've planted, what do you want that harvest to look like? If one day you were to reap what you sowed, what would you want that to look like? And instead of providing a simple list of what to do, what not to do, Paul tells the Galatians this, straight up. In Galatians 6:8, he says it right there. Those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay, death. That's it. You for yourself, decay, death. Thank you for the claps. That's, I feel like I'm in one of those like poetry like readings. Like, oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, of course. So now, what he said there, that was strong language, right? He was basically grabbing them by the shirt and saying, "Hey, listen. Those who live to satisfy their own sinful nature, hello, you're gonna decay and die. See ya. Don't do that." So Paul is saying that bad choices are going to lead to bad outcomes. It's just how life works. So maybe you don't consider gossip like a major sin, but if you continually plant gossip, then you will eventually get the results of gossip. You may ruin a friendship, maybe not this week or next week, maybe next year, or maybe that harvest will happen later. Maybe someone will carry those hurtful words for them for a long time, keep you around, keep your friends, and then you get kids, and then they get kids, and their kids marry your kids, and then they kick your kids in the shin. That's weird. No. Don't let that gossip be planted. Or, if you continually choose not to study and cheat to pass certain classes in high school, you may not have the foundation you need to kind of advance in college classes. Okay? Or, if you continue to tell lies, you may not be trusted in the near future. If you continue to sin in how you treat your own body may not last. Your body's a temple. If you continue to use drugs, alcohol, you can harvest addiction. And at the end of the day, Paul knew that if you follow Jesus, okay, you would experience life. But if you continue to plant things that will hurt you, you will eventually get hurt. Ow. But here's the good news. Good news, everybody. The main point, if you're planting good decisions, you're going to experience a harvest life. if you're planting good decisions, you're going to experience a harvest life. Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't reading it backwards. What you plant is what you're going to harvest. And Paul isn't just talking about good decisions, harvesting happiness. He's talking about harvesting the things that Jesus talked about: joy, peace, or rest. That's what Jesus meant when he said this in John 10:10. He said, "My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life." His purpose is to give you a rich and satisfying life. Sometimes the translation in that is a little bit different. They'll use the word abundant. Okay? Abundant, a lot of, instead of rich. So imagine an abundance of peace. Just calm. More than enough. Imagine an abundance of joy. More than you expected. You're happy, but you're like abundantly happy. An abundance of satisfaction. What you plant now, you'll harvest later. Now, here's some questions to think about. Do you want parents? Do you want parents to trust you more than plant telling them the truth? Do you want really good friendships than plant seeds of integrity, honesty? Do you want to be a good husband or wife one day? Not right now, later. Then plant seeds of treating your dating partners with respect. Flower. Okay? Do you want to be good with money? Who wants to be rich?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now listen to this one very closely, because I need you guys to make money later, so when I try to collect my Social Security and it doesn't come in, I need you guys to help me out.
No.
So so the question is, do you want to be good with money? Then plant seeds of spending wisely now. See that? Didn't say saving, it said spend wisely. Okay? It's good to save, but if you spend wisely and do some good investments, then I can hang around and then you get a mansion and I can live in your extra room. I'll myself right here. Can I come out now? Anyways. Let me ask you this. Why? Why should we do this? Why should we plant those things so we can have those things better? Good relationships, being a good husband, being well with money. Why should we do this? To be right with God? No. Jesus already took care of that. Cross. 3 days, he died, came back. Already done. We follow God's instruction for our lives right now because free people know that their now affects their later. You guys are of God. You got free. Your now affects your later. Following Jesus isn't about keeping score or blocking out sin. It's about freedom and life, right? Jesus wants you to experience an abundant life, he says. Abundant joy. Abundant experiences of life. But you don't start a harvest with harvesting. You don't look around, see there's corn, and just take that corn. That's stealing. You start a harvest by planting. Find the right time. Plant it in spring. Wait till summer. Get your corn. That's why Paul wanted the Galatians to know that no matter what you plant, there will eventually be a harvest. Freedom now, then you get freedom later. We have one more song right after, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the band can start coming up, and then feel free to play in the background as I finish up here. This is my last point here. So, who knew that free people had so much to do with planting and harvesting and all that good stuff, right? So, let's go back to the original conversation about sin. Jesus wants us to be free, and he has already set us free from the ultimate cost of sin. Crossed 3 days, came back. But here's the thing. We can still harvest the consequences of sin. It's a really long word. Consequences. But if we plant poor choices, we harvest poor outcomes. I know he doesn't want that for you guys. I know I don't want that for you guys. But here's the thing. When we're careful in what we are sowing now, we pave the way to experience a free future. A future free from painful consequences. A future free from regret. I mean, I could tell you story after story of my own life, but I could tell you ways that I've planted some poor choices and harvested some painful consequences, and I can tell you stories of planting better seeds and harvesting more positive outcomes. But I can 100% tell you that what you do today will absolutely impact your tomorrow. So think back on some big decisions or actions in the past right now. Just go ahead and think back. I bet that those choices harvested one of these two responses. Either you said, I'm glad I did, or, oh man, I wish I had. So what choices are you making today that will put you in the first category? I'm glad I did. And what choices are you making that could land you in the second category? Sin always comes with a warning label. Now, God didn't put those labels on there to scare you, or to make you feel guilty, or to make you feel less free. He put those warnings there so you can experience more freedom. True freedom. The kind of freedom that comes with making choices that make your today good and your tomorrow great. Thank you, guys.
Let's go.
Thanks for sharing tonight, Alex. Thanks for the songs tonight from the band. Hey, man, the stuff that he said tonight is so incredibly true. The seeds that you're sowing now are going to determine what you harvest in the future. The choices that you make now are going to determine the direction and quality of your life. So please be smart. You know, make choices that honor Jesus now, and that will lead to a life that honors Jesus later. And the life that honors Jesus is the life that you want. God, I pray tonight that as we break into our small groups, the stuff that we hear and talk about together, God, that everything that we've heard tonight, that it'll make sense, that we'll leave here ready to put this stuff into action, to make better choices in the coming week, to honor Jesus with the seeds that we're planting in our lives and the lives of the people around us. We pray this in your name. Amen. Hey, small group leaders, real quick. I just sent out some updated questions somehow.